What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals, does my mic sound better? Kyle says yes. I hope so.
Comment below.
We're here for the Spider-Man No Way Home review. Two videos will be up on the channel. a non-spoiler and a spoiler review. Obviously, spoiler review is going to be the huge one here. So let's just quickly get into this here. So thank you to Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly, Karen. Go get some merch. I got some on right now. It's all linked down in the description. Check us out on Letterbox, TikTok, all that stuff. Okay. Kyle, in the fastest way possible for our non-spoiler review, what were your positives of Spider-Man No Way Home?
Well, I liked it. Tom Holland is very good in the movie. There's a lot of really great surprises that people will like. And it's, has all the MCU special effects and action that you could hope for. And the multiverse elements tie in pretty well for his narrative, I would say.
Here we go. The movie slaps. Kyle, what are your negatives of the film?
Too long. I was feeling the runtime. And I guess like in a nitpicky way, I would say that all of the really great stuff is towards the end, but then again, I think that also is beneficial for the movie. So yeah.
Don't know if I have any. It might be extremely nitpicky and spoilers. Okay, here we go. Spoilers. Spoiler review time. Let's get into it. No more wasting time. Okay. This movie slaps. We're not going in a direction, positives, negatives. We're just going to talk. This movie slaps to me. I loved it. And I'm going to say this to start it because I don't want to forget this. One of the things I loved, and I hope your experience was the same. This is one of the best, if not the best time I've had in the movie theater since The Force Awakens. It was cheering. It was love. It was passion. We were so loud in that theater when things happen, when certain characters pop up. Wait a minute, Al, this is a spoiler review. We're spoiling this movie. If you haven't seen it, get out of here. Get now, out. I'm about to spoil it. Toby showing up, Andrew showing up, all the villains showing up, everybody who shows up, my theater round of applause and screams and hollers. It was awesome. Did you have the same experience?
No.
Really?
The majority of the screams and hollers came towards the final act of the movie, more so. There was a few moments throughout, like, Daredevil showing up, or I guess Murdock specifically showing up. That one was a big cheer, but for the most part, it was just sprinkles of whoops and hollers here and there. And honestly, for me, Endgame still tops it as like a Endgame
too.
crowd.
I forgot about Endgame. Yeah, Endgame was there.
Forgot about Endgame. No,
well, it's no Force Awakens. Stop.
But my main enjoyment of this movie was that experience of a bunch of a big group of people, total strangers coming together, wanting to be entertained, wanting to have fun, wanting to see, these connections and tie-ins, and they got it, man. Like
it's
that's
awesome.
what they were able to get. They delivered.
So you brought up Matt Murdock. I loved it. I thought he was used perfectly. He just shows up for a minute as the lawyer. I love they get a quick little tease. He gives a little bit of legal advice for everybody. He catches the brick. And I love that Peter's like, he's like, are you a superhero? Like, he basically is just like, you're blonde. What? And he's just like, nothing, man. Just, I'm a good lawyer. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome.
It's kind of funny because like he's helping Peter Parker like not go to jail for being Spider-Man, I guess. So he could have been like, yeah, I'm Daredevil. Have you ever heard of me? And he would have been like, no.
True. I do think that this is a reset for him. I don't know if the Netflix stuff is going to count. I wonder if he's going to be Daredevil now for this universe, but he has not actually become Daredevil yet. I don't really hope that's true because I think all of the history before in the MCU would be awesome. But
sure.
Anyway, oh my God, there's so much to get into this. I mean, I don't even know where to go from here. I liked the Daredevil stuff. Thought it was great. For me, all of the fan service worked. What are we doing here? Why are we beating Kyle? Let's just talk about them. Let's talk about, they were in the movie. They were in the movie.
Who was?
Wait a minute. Wasn't Kirsten Dunst supposed to be in this movie? I just have remembered that. Wasn't she announced that she was supposed to be in this movie? Where was she? Wow.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there was a deleted scene of a portal opening up and Tobey Maguire would have been like, hey, MJ. And she would have been like, oh, Peter, you know, and maybe there was something like that. I don't know. I mean, there was rumblings that Emma Stone was going to be in the movie, I think. What was Deborah's character's name in Daredevil? I think there was rumblings that she would appear in this too.
Yeah, the Kirsten Dunst thing I think was legit reporting though. I think it was legit people being like, no, this is true. So I wonder if she did just get cut. But anyway, they were in the movie and it was awesome. I loved it. I thought the way they were used was great. For all of this, will they, won't they in the movie? I was on Twitter because I saw an earlier showing. So I've been, waiting for Kyle's showing to finish. So I decided I could finally get back on Twitter. So I wanted to see what people were saying about it. And obviously there's nothing but spoilers. I mean, just everywhere. I mean, leaked clips, everything. But there was just so much love for just all of them in the movie. And, I still, Campia's photos, those were real. And that the reason he had to backpedal so hard is because Sony's legal team probably came down on him and was like, dude, what are you doing?
Oh yeah. No, he legit said like, someone called me and said those might be real. And so he was like,
I think he knew they were real. I think he's playing Fox. I think he knew. I think he got them and leaked them on purpose. Get a little cred to the channel. All of that still did not affect how much I loved both of them being back. I loved the banter. I loved everything about it. When the portal first opened and he's like, I need to see Spider-Man or whatever. And in the theater, build. In our theater, I'm gonna brag a little bit here, but in our theater, I was about probably a third of a second faster than everybody seeing it. The second it popped up, I sat up, and then I could hear by the time my breath stopped, I could hear everybody go, and everybody was like, this guy beat us. And I was very proud of that moment, but it was awesome. I thought the banter, him climbing on the walls, clearing the web. I thought Toby showing up, the way they talked to each other, shooting the webs at each other was awesome. I loved it. I loved it. What were your thoughts on them showing up?
Honestly, at that starting point, that's where I really loved the movie because it was effective in helping Tom Holland's Spider-Man grieve over the loss of Aunt May. Spoilers, by the way.
And that hit like a truck.
Oh, Tom Holland is so good at crying. Like, you thought I Don't Feel Good, Mr. Stark was tough. Man, there wasn't everyone was crying at my theater during that, man. But we'll get there. And it's when they appear and they're comforting him, and MJ and Ned are also comforting him. That's where the movie really took off and where it really worked for me, because it felt like a sort of spiritual awakening for Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man to me. It's kind of that realization of what it's going to be like to be the hero, the good and the bad, that he kind of has had in the past two movies, but not to the level that it's been here. And so I just really like that he kind of got some lessons in a way, like during the banter, like most of it was like jokes and poking fun at each other's movies and whatnot. But there was also like an underneath layer to it for me where I was like, okay, like this is working because it really is a teaching moment for this version of Peter Parker. And I appreciate that.
And we did get two of the meme jokes. We got them pointing at each other. There's a moment they're all pointing back and forth. You're Spider-Man 2, you're Spider-Man 1. They all do the point meme. And then we also got the conversation that everybody wanted when the assumptions were that they were all in this movie about Toby having organic webs. And that conversation happens twice, and it is hysterical. I mean, roll around laughter. It was so good. It was so funny. But I want to go back to Aunt May. I was saying this when I got out of the movie that, Marissa Tomei, probably of all the Aunt Mays, has the least amount of screen time with Tom, but I don't think it's that far off from Sally Field. I think Sally Field does get more, but she doesn't necessarily have a lot more. Obviously, I can't remember the actress's name who plays Aunt May in Toby's movies, and RIP to her. But she obviously gets way more screen time, and she gets whole things centered around her. But that hit, and they have, we talked yesterday in our ranking or how great the chemistry is with Sally Field and Andrew Garfield, and it is really great. But man, Marissa Tomei and Tom Holland have awesome chemistry, and they have through all of the movies and anytime they're together, and they have it in this movie, and she gets a lot more to do in this movie. And when she does die, because at first when she got hit, I was like, did she die? There's no way. And I started freaking out. And then she stood up and she went to him and said, I'm fine. And they fooled me. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, I went in expecting if somebody died, it to be MJ. And I just wasn't prepared for it to be Aunt May. And then for it to change so fast and him see the blood and all this stuff and her to fall down, I was like, oh my God, they actually are going to. And they held on with it so long. It hits like a freight truck. It really hits hard because, I mean, they stay on Tom so long and him telling her to get up and wake up. What's wrong? I don't understand. He's confused, and it's heartbreaking. You're watching, because when it happened in my head, I thought, man, are we going to get a scene where he starts losing his mind and yelling like not again because he's lost Tony and now he's lost Aunt May and now he's lost everybody. And he doesn't have he does get his rage scene. And when he fights Green Goblin, it's awesome. And when he jumps,
that felt pretty good.
After it's like two moves, and then he jumps and misses and he slams his fist in the ground and he dents the metal. And I was the only one in the theater. I was like, oh my God, he is about to obliterate this man. And but what made all that what really worked the most for me is we've talked a lot. We did it yesterday. We've done it for years about how the MCU has been making Tony Stark his Uncle Ben. And what I love that this movie did is it said he was never his Uncle Ben. He was a father figure. But Aunt May was his Uncle Ben in the traditional story, and she got to say the iconic line to him that with great power comes great responsibility. And in that moment, that is when I know you and I have our differences on his development, but for me, that is the moment where everything clicked for Tom Holland's Peter Parker on truly who he needs to be. I talked about how in the first movie, to me, I think he learns how to be a hero. And in the second movie, I think he learns what it means to be a hero and that there is a difference between the two. And now I'm second guessing that and thinking, no, he really learns how hard it is to do this in this movie. And it clicks on how he needs to act in this movie with that line. And I loved it. And then to have the other two Peters console him and say, look, we have been there. You're not the only one. And they, Toby, and I love the way they cut from Tom to Toby or Tom to Andrew fit so well. Because I think it wouldn't have worked as well when he said with great power and then it cut to Toby and he goes with comes great responsibility. If it had cut to Andrew, I don't think that hits as hard. But they cut to Toby and it hits harder. But I wanted to talk about all that because I think it's all connected in this big Tom Holland growth. And we can get into all the fun, the meat and whatever in a minute. But what did you think about that? I mean, Tom crying on that rooftop, losing Aunt May, getting to the rooftop, the other Spider-Man showing up. How did that affect you? I know you have differences with how you think Tom's development has gone. How did you view all that?
I like that it was her that said the line. And I think you're right that it put the nail in the coffin that Tony Stark wasn't really the Uncle Ben. It was Aunt May that was his Uncle Ben. because I mean, it may have been a throwaway line to some people, but one of the Spider-Man kind of said like, or some I don't even remember which character said it now, but they said like whenever our Uncle Ben said that line, he died, and I was like, oh my god, that was some foreshadowing that I didn't even think about because
Yep.
they're right, like, and I
Yep.
didn't even think about that with anime either, and I should have, but
I did.
well, good for you. No, so yeah, I was like, okay, that was clever use of the line there, clever you, and I did like that it kind of signified that not only was she his Aunt May, but also his Uncle Ben, and I think I'm okay with that. Like, I was never a person who was like, we need to have Uncle Ben back, even though he has been like an important figure for Spider-Man. But with this franchise, for some reason, I was never bothered by it, and I think now like it's okay. Like, it's okay that we don't have to have that worry.
I want to say this too, just because it popped in my head here, that one of the big differences I think that really works is in both Toby and Andrew's movies, they don't know that he's Spider-Man. They're just giving advice to this boy that they have raised. Marissa Tomei's Aunt May knows he's Spider-Man, knows he's been to space, that he saved the world and helped save. I mean, he didn't do, he had to be brought back from the blip, but she knows all this, and she's trying to help people and realizes that in life you need to help others. And so I think that's why it hit even harder, because she knows that he has done all this amazing stuff and he continues to struggle with what his power and who he is. He caused the whole mess of this movie. I mean, he is responsible for killing his aunt. He's not wrong, but he accepts it. And he accepts it when he gets to talk to the people he loves and other people. And he even says, he goes, don't tell me you've been through this, to Andrew before they even start. And they continue to interrupt him and be like, no, we really have. Like, we are the same. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I think it's really interesting in the way the lines hit. But what else did you think about then, the other Spider-Mans consoling him and things like that?
That about covers it for me on that angle. And like I said, it's just what I really liked. And granted, this was obviously for, the spectacle of it all, and from a studio point of view to make money, but story wise, it just worked really well for me to where it satisfied me. Like, it satisfied me for the character of Peter Parker, this version in particular, but also it made sense. It made sense for this type of story that they were approaching with. So, and that's why I really enjoyed that final act so much, because once they came in, like it I don't know, it just clicked for me. Like, it really helped with that character, I felt like.
Yeah. I'm going to just jump us around to random spots here. This popped into my head.
Totally fine.
I have to talk about it.
Do it.
The people at Sony and the people at Marvel put in at the end of Venom, this is the after credit scene, the first one, that Venom's going to be in this movie, that he's in this universe. And then they freaking pull the plug on it and put him back in his own universe. And I think it's incredible. And they leave a little bit, right? The little bit of the symbiote is there to have another, for it to play in Spider-Man 4. But I think it was so smart by the studio execs to do that, because when the movie ended, I was sitting there thinking, where was Venom? I knew he was supposed to show up. And then I thought, okay, he's going to be the after credit scene and maybe he's going to be the big bad. And he goes back to his universe. And it is interesting why he's there, and I do have a couple nitpick things. I think some of the multiverse stuff is a little bit bend of the rules. A little bit like everybody who knows Peter Parker is supposed to be coming to this universe. Tom Hardy doesn't know who Peter Parker is. Like, that's never been established, things like that, but he's there. I think it's fine. I think those little bends work. It's something like, as a big Star Wars fan, you have to deal with because they're bending crap all the time. And I think it works in this movie a lot, but I thought it was hysterical that they did that. What did you think of the Venom after credit scene?
Oh, as someone who does not enjoy the Venom movies, I absolutely had.
Same.
That was the hardest I laughed at Tom Hardy's Venom, to be quite honest with you.
True.
Because it's such because it's such a troll to the fans who are like, is he going to be in this universe or is he going to be back in this universe? And Spider-Man crosses over to that
And it's
universe.
us. It's us. We literally sat after Venom 2 and we were like, well, we always thought he was going to go to his universe, but instead he's coming to our universe. And now are they going to pull Tom Holland out so they can have their own movies because we know the contracts have ended. And if the contracts have ended, then we know that Tom Holland, blah, 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 blah. And they just played us.
It makes me laugh because the majority of what I was hearing out of Venom 2 was that after credit scene was crazy. What about the movie? Oh, the movie's fine, whatever. But the after
exactly.
Credits, and so I don't know. For me, in an evil sort of way, I thought that it was hilarious and funny.
It's awesome.
But I do like it because we get the cake and eat it too. We will get to have a version. I assume we're going to have a version of Venom in the MCU, and we're not going to have the weird Tom Hardy performance of Venom in the MCU. Like I never really thought that pairing made a lot of sense. It wouldn't have been a good fit. It would have been interesting, but I don't think it would have been a good fit. And I'm totally okay with what they did there.
You bring up an interesting point, and I want to talk about this. This is the end of the movie, right? So we get all these incredible jokes. It's an awesome final fight, especially, I mean, Willem Dafoe knocks it out of the park.
He's such a good
so
actor.
Good.
It's like he never left.
It's true. Awesome. Let's get back to the villains after this because I do want to give them their fair share. And but the movie ends with Peter saying the way to fix this is the original plan. Instead of everybody forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, make everybody forget who Peter Parker is. And it takes everybody back. Everybody in the whole world forgets him, including Doctor Strange. Everybody forgets him. Happy. Doctor Strange did well too. Happy forgot him. And that conversation is tough. He walks in to the donut shop where MJ works, and he lets them go. And that is what Spider-Man would do. And he learned that from these movies and from speaking to the other two about what they had been through. I love Andrew's line about what we probably would have seen in his Spider-Man 3 of how he turned into a rage monster. Also, a fan, I did see a TikTok like 3 months ago. A fan was like, I bet you anything that when MJ falls, Tom Holland gets knocked off and Andrew Garfield saves her and he gets a moment to do it. And I loved it. Didn't matter if that was in my brain beforehand. Loved it. And especially when it's funny
too. When
it's a funny scene.
When he catches her, it is funny, yes. But when he catches her, I remember in the moment, like getting that sigh of relief because I was like, oh, they actually did it. And I was like, what would be even sweeter is if Andrew Garfield, who is the great actor that he is, to just have like some tears bubbling up.
And he did.
He, finally, and I was like, oh my, thank you.
In our theater,
you listened to me and you made him work.
In our theater, when he started tearing up, the whole theater went, oh, like their heart broke for him. And then she goes, are you good? Like you're a superhero, bro. What are you doing? And he goes, it was so good. Andrew was great. Toby was great.
I love how destroyed Andrew's version of Peter is. Like you could tell after the Gwen Stacy thing, that guy went through some stuff and he still was kind of like recovering from it. So like the little things where he's like, thank you for telling me I'm amazing, man. I really needed to hear it. Like, I'm not going to say it, but I need to hear it. I'm like, yeah, man, we all saw Amazing Spider-Man 2. We get it. Like you deserve
it's
a
so good. But let me go back to this real quick. The movie, it did end. There were rumors it was going to end with a Doctor Strange trailer. It did, and I thought the trailer looked great. Do you want to give a quick one word? What, I thought it looked great.
I really liked it.
I did too. We'll get in there,
really
but
good.
At the end of it said Doctor Strange will return. They have said that after both Spider-Man. They did not say it for Spider-Man after his own movie, and it made me start thinking. Maybe I'm getting too much. Well, we know they announced they're going to do 3 more movies. I mean, Amy Pascal said it, that they were going to do 3 more in the MCU, but I wonder if everybody doesn't know who Peter Parker is anymore, who Spider-Man is. There is a Spider-Man, but who is to say that Sony doesn't just take full control he's in the MCU, but they don't need to use him. And they just do 3 more movies of him and start fresh in the college years. And they start completely fresh. Nobody knows. They don't need to bring Zendaya back. They don't need to bring any of the other actors back because nobody knows. And he moved on. You could start with a Gwen Stacy in college and all this other stuff for Peter, and only Peter would know. I don't know if they're going to do that. But when I left the movie, I was thinking, Sony, because we thought so much that this is because of the contracts that Sony was going to get him back. They wanted to keep him. He wants to stay. Then Amy Pascal says they're going to do 3 more movies in the MCU. And I wonder if they kind of found a way to do it anyway. I mean, I hope not. I hope he goes on another Avengers movie and hangs out with other people. I want to see it, but it is set up now for them to do it. What do you think?
Right now, in the moment, I'm under the assumption that they're still going to have their deal. Marvel and Sony will.
I think I'm with
like
you.
it makes too much sense dollar wise to like move away, or
especially when this one makes $2 billion or something and breaks records.
I mean, yeah, at this point, it could. But when I realized that this is Spider-Man back to square one, I remember our conversation in our last video where I was talking about how the growth of Spider-Man, this version doesn't seem like it's quite there to me because he still has the backup of like the Avengers level threats, or he has the backup of the Iron Man suits and this and that. But this next trilogy, he really could be going in the direction that I think me and some other fans are probably kind of wanting, where, yeah, it is tied into the MCU, but he really, truly is on his own this time. I mean, him sewing his own costume.
And the costume looked awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Old school OG style, looked a lot like what they do in the video games. It looked awesome with that bright blue.
I mean, between him using a police, well, it's a police scanner app, but him using a police scanner to pick up like what's going on in like, you know, the neighborhoods that he's living in. It was like, you know, the last 2 minutes of the movie. But for me, I was like, okay, we might be getting there. We might be doing what I was kind of saying in the last video that we're about to do. And it will be interesting to see how that works out. But it's very interesting.
Well,
and I think it'll be fun.
What's interesting too, though, is he is starting from square one and he's not. He still has all his experience of everything that has happened.
Right. We get the cake and eat it. We get, what's the saying? We get the cake and eat it too.
I mean, he still had great development.
I'm
gonna die on that hill. He had great development, and he honestly is the most developed Spider-Man, and he gets a great opportunity to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and you see it multiple times. But anyway, I love when the conversation with him and Toby, where he's like, I fought a purple alien. And Toby's like, I fought this crazy black sticky alien that was like freaking out and all. And he's like, I fought it on Earth. And Tom's like, I fought it in space. And like, Tom doesn't even know where he was. He just knows he was on another planet. And I also I loved the conversation where all 3 of them said, I don't know how to fight as a team. And Tom goes, well, I do. I mean, kind of. He's like, I let the Peter tingle go, and I just do my thing.
I was kind of an Avenger, and they're like, what is that? Some sort of band?
God, that was awesome. I loved that joke when Toby's like, awesome. What is it? Like, it was so good. This is one of the funniest MCU movies to me. He was so funny. He looked great too.
The first thing I thought was, man, he looks old. But it's funny because in the original Raimi movies, he looked, you know, like he was 30 or 40. Like he looked his age pretty much, but he did look good for 50. But at the same time, I was like, he looks good, I thought, but at the same time, he looks old.
See, you and I just did the exact same thing, just opposite. I went,
yeah,
he looks old, but man, he looks good for that age. And you're over here like, man, he's old. Like, Kyle, just enjoy the half glass of water you have, okay? Just enjoy it. All right. But okay, let's get to the villains, okay? Mm-hmm. I really liked everything with the villains. I thought it was very Spider-Man of him trying to save him and Aunt May saying, no, these are people in need. Just because they're bad guys doesn't mean you shouldn't help them. You should try to help them. And I love that Tom does that. And I thought everybody got a great chance. I loved at the end that they all kind of get an opportunity to talk to the Spider-Man, and it developed all of them. I mean, Willem Dafoe now has way more development, and now to me, watching that original Spider-Man movie is going to have way more impact because of how he is in this movie and how he truly is just so insane. And they just get to dive deeper into the psyche of all these villains, even for like a villain I didn't care as much about, like the Lizard or Electro. And I still ended up really enjoying the way they kind of got to have a little moment of conversation with those Spider-Man and talk about it. What did you think of the villains?
They were utilized a lot more than I thought they would be. I was at least expecting Doc Ock to kind of have his return to being a good guy. But I didn't expect it for like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin or Jamie Foxx's Electro. I thought it was weird. Flynn Marco, who is the Sandman, and the Lizard, I thought their utilization was a little weird because, they weren't really on one side or the other. They just kind of like went with the flow. And I was like, part of it was like for the purpose of the plot, and you just kind of have to roll with it. So
it was a bend of the rule. Yeah, I agree with you. It's the nitpick of the movie for me. It's like there's a couple tiny little plot nitpicks where it's like, does it really make sense? But it's like, that's not the point. That's where you suspend your disbelief and have a little bit of fun for me.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, Lizard makes more sense than Flint. Flint's like, I want to go home. And then he just leaves with the villains. But he's like, I want him to push the button.
Does no one else want him to push the button? We can also get out of here.
The whole movie, I was like, man, they couldn't get the same actors to play them. Like, why is Flint in sand the whole time? In the old movies, he could be himself. But I wonder if just both of those actors have maybe aged a little too much, and they just didn't want to do it, and they just wanted to do voice work until the very end. But I mean, it ended up making some good comedy gold. But
I guess Thomas Hayden Church did show like his face. That's
at the very end. Yeah,
exactly.
To the point where that
surprised me. I was like, oh, it's actually the guy. I didn't expect it to be.
When I got home, I had to look it up because I was like, I thought they just got a guy that looked similar. Because I was just like, they just don't even really show him. And it must have just been a contract thing, or maybe he was in a lot more of the movie, and it just was like, all right, we gotta cut something. We're gonna cut these two. I liked Electro and him loving the arc reactor. I thought that was great. I love that every time he shot lightning, he got like the old school look, and then it would go away when he was done shooting it. I thought it was unique. It was cool. We even got a little bit of the EDM thing when he first showed up, and I thought that was so funny and just kind of a nod because he doesn't get it through the whole movie. What?
I thought I imagined it for a second, so I'm glad I wasn't the only.
It happens. Okay. No, it happens, but it's only at the beginning. They're also. Did you catch the other themes like Raimi's theme and the Amazing Spider-Man theme? Like they were all in there in slight variations throughout, and I thought it was great. It was so cool. Yeah. I loved it. This movie slaps. All right, you take it in a direction. What would you like to talk about, Kyle?
I actually want to talk about Zendaya, Tom Holland and Zendaya. I thought they were.
All right, well, that's the show.
Okay. Okay. Good night, everyone.
We're cutting Zendaya. You can't cut Zendaya.
Go ahead. They were great. Like even better than in the last movie, I feel like. Because the movie really does hinge on their relationship like quite a bit more than I was expecting, and it was some really good stuff that was between them, and it really makes like that final act of the movie where they have to say goodbye and he has to like let her go at the end.
It was heartbreaking,
and they were able to make it work in Far From Home and make it even better here.
And what I love,
it really impressed me.
I love the line where she tells him that she loves him, and when he starts to say it back, she says, "No. You tell me when you come find me." And he doesn't tell her. It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking.
When she finds out, she's going to kill him.
Oh, yeah. Will she find out, though? Tom Holland re-upped his contract, though. Did Zendaya? We got to get him out of there.
She's got Dune. Why does she need Spider-Man now?
Well, she has him for life because they're dating in real life.
Which is cool.
But I also really liked Ned. The whole conspiracy theory, the whole way through the movie or leading up to the movie was Ned was going to become the Hobgoblin. And instead, Ned gets to be a wizard. And I was here for it. I loved it.
The wizard part, I was like, I don't know why. I was like, this is weird, but whatever. And
I loved it.
I kind of like that he wasn't Hobgoblin either. Like I mean, unless if it was like a multiverse thing, I don't think it would have made much sense. So
how cool was that look for Green Goblin though, getting that more comic style accurate look with the purple hood and everything and all that? It looked awesome to me.
There was a part of me that was like, oh, I missed the corny Green Goblin Power Ranger suit. I kind of wish he
had part of it. What's crazy though is in the trailer they show those two twice. They show the shot of him at the end of the movie swooping in with the hood on, and the way it looks in that trailer is like a different person. It looks more like he has long hair, not a hood on, and everybody was like, "That's Ned. It's James Franco's back. It's blah 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 blah." And no, it's just.
I thought it was Dane DeHaan. So
or Dane DeHaan, and everybody. Yeah. We were just duped. They did a great job. I mean, yes, I do wish the fans would have calmed down. It would have been so cool to have really gone in blind to this movie, like not assuming anybody was in it, but just Zendaya, Tom Holland, and probably Jon Favreau. Like that's what we would have just gone in assuming. But it still worked. It worked. Anything else you want to talk about though? Their chemistry is great. Their chemistry might be the best yet. After watching all the movies so close together and having it so fresh in my mind, which I am glad I did. You don't have to do, but it really did make this just so much more meaningful. Yeah. But I think Zendaya and Tom might take the cake on the best chemistry. They did get a third movie. That. Did Emma and him didn't. I was saying too, because
she wasn't gonna come back anyway. Because
I remember when Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone split, and they talked about it in the media about how they did still really care about each other and whatnot. And I remember reading that Andrew took it very hard, and when he talked in the movie about his Gwen, I could feel that. I was like, this is a guy who's getting something 7-8 years ago off his chest right now, like through Spider-Man here. And it was so good. I really wish it was Friday. I want to go see it again. I wish it was my Christmas break. I want to go see this movie 7 times in the theater. I want to go on the biggest screens. I want to get more corn and just have a good time. Kyle, tell me more about the movie. What else did you love?
The Spider-Man all doing the poses. Spider-Man all doing the poses, swinging together. So cool. I think it was like, when was it? Like right after they were like, okay, we're going to work as a team. And then they all went around and they all did I think it was their signature poses, if I kind of recall how it was. And
they went in order too. It went Toby, Andrew, Tom. And I liked it.
Yeah, that one was really cool. That's off the top of my head.
Them in the lab in the high school making all the stuff, little hokey, but like just so fun with the conversation and the banter they're having back and forth. I love it when Ned goes, "Hey Peter," and all 3 of them answer, and then he goes, "No, Parker," and then all 3 of them answer, and he's like, "Oh my gosh," they all just lose it. I was just dying laughing. This is the most I've laughed in the MCU in a long time. There were some good laughs in Endgame. Yeah. I mean, all the movies have good laughs, but like, I don't remember. I think the last movie I truly laughed so much in was Guardians, the first one. The second one's not nearly as funny, and I will die on that hill. But I laughed a lot. But what did you think of that? The scene in the thing, the high school.
Honestly, the movie gets really funny to me once all 3 Spider-Man are together. I didn't really think it was like very funny before that. There was, few jokes work, but the majority of them just didn't really tickle my funny bone, I guess.
I don't understand you. I will never.
I think that would be one of my negatives too.
Stop. You're going to sit here and still defend how funny Guardians 2 is and come at me with this. I'm done with you. You're off the show. You're done. You're done.
Guardians 2 is
Done.
underrated. What can I say?
How can it be underrated when it's just brutally average? Anyway, we're not going to get back into this. We've had so many debates on this. I loved the humor. I really did. I thought the humor was just great from start to finish. I mean, yes, it does help once all the Spider-Men get there. There's so many funny lines, but I think like one of the lines I loved was Zendaya being like, "Oh, I know a magic word. Please." And then he, like, Doctor Strange just accepts it. He's like, "Will you please just Scooby Doo?" Like I was laughing. I was laughing so much. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, that wasn't funny to me. I don't know why.
It's because they
I
use
hate
the
to say.
name Scooby Doo, and you don't want anybody to ever use the
Don't
word
use
Scooby Doo in any sort of incorrect light.
Don't use Scooby Doo's name in vain.
No, do it all the time. It was funny. Oh my gosh.
How'd you feel about Doctor Strange? How he was used?
I liked him. And we had so many theories of if it was or wasn't like the real Doctor Strange or whatever. And and I'm gonna say this just to get at you. And guess what they're doing, Kyle? They show it in the trailer. They're bringing What If into the main MCU because we know how much Kyle just freaking loves What If.
Yeah, we never did do a What If show, did we?
That's because I didn't finish it.
There you go.
I didn't finish it.
Oh,
actually,
now that I think about it, yeah, that's true. I didn't even finish it either. I think I stopped at episode 7.
I didn't find it nearly that fun. I saw the Doctor Strange episode. I missed like the last two, but like something like Star Wars Visions, I think is perfect little bites because they were so much shorter, but these were just a little too long. It just was a little too much kind of kid animation, crazy plot lines. I just wasn't into it as much. I just didn't think it mattered. But anyway, I just needed to poke fun at you because I know how much you love that. And I'm actually okay with a dark Doctor Strange. I think that's a cool idea. But
I think it will work in this movie. Sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But yeah, I think Doctor Strange was great. I thought he was him because people in the trailers were like, he's being too nice to Peter. He's being too nice. He's really not that nice. Peter comes in and asks for his help. And I love the whole banter with him and Wong. Also, that's my biggest nitpick. Wong, what are you doing? Are you just in the rings with Shang-Chi and Abomination this whole movie? Where are you? You're the Sorcerer Supreme now. Where on earth are you?
That part did get me. I thought that was really clever.
I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Anyway, continue.
But I thought he was great. And I love too, the trailers mostly showed those crazy scenes of him in the mirror dimension, that fight. And we were like, what if it's the multiverses clashing together? What if it's this or that? Blah, blah. No, it's just Doctor Strange and Peter fighting.
In the Grand Canyon.
Yes, well, all over the world, really, but eventually he gets stuck in the Grand Canyon. I love that Peter at the end of it. I died at that line where he's like, "Wait a minute, it's just the mirror dimension. This is just blah blah. This is geometry. I love geometry." And then he figures it out. And then I love when he's like, "Hey, you know what's cooler than magic? Math." I thought that was such a Peter Parker Spider-Man thing to say. I was dying. I thought it was so funny.
Totally.
Doctor Strange showing back up. I was in the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. And he's just mad. And I thought it was the Doctor Strange we have actually come to know, where he is a bit of a smart aleck, but he does care, and he does it in his own way. And I thought it worked very well. I thought he was used very well. And to be honest, I thought him getting stuck was one of the least funky parts of the plot hole than everything else. Like, Peter just left him there. Like, that's fine. Like, he was going to go get him back another day or wait for some sorcerer to figure it out. So how did you like it? Did you hate it?
No, I didn't hate it. I do get why people were kind of questioning, like, he seems to be a little different. Like, I kind of understood to a point why they thought that in the trailers. And even during the movie at times, I was like, are you who you say you are? Are you who you say you are? But looking back on it, I think I'm trying to find the right way to describe it. He's very snarky, but through the snarkiness, he's very much a nice person. And I think that really start to come to fruition in Avengers Infinity War. And
I
we still
agree.
think about him as like the same sort of character in Doctor Strange when he wasn't quite like that. Like he was snarky, but he still was learning how to be nice. And I think Infinity War that's really like the truest version of Doctor Strange that there is. And seeing the movie in full, I think it does it feels about the same. It feels about the same type of characteristics to me.
He doesn't grow a lot in his, I mean, he's only had one movie to himself, but he actually does get some growth. And yeah, I think you're right. You do really see it more in Infinity War, especially after they're trapped on the planet. And I think he just starts to learn a little bit more. But there were some scenes in those trailers too that weren't in the movie. Like Wong has this whole thing where he yells at him, but it was completely different dialogue in this movie. And in the trailer, I think he winks at him when he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna help him." None of that was in the movie. He does do a similar thing. It was just not the wink or anything. And Marvel's still throwing us off. You know what? It's crazy though. The like Sony Entertainment, like I don't remember, like UK or something, is the one that put the trailer out that had just that little snippet of the lizard getting hit in the trailer, and everybody was like, "That's gotta be Andrew Garfield kicking him." It was 100% Andrew Garfield kicking him. I even remember when it came out, I was like, can't it be like a Spider-Man punching him? Like, why are we all assuming it's kicking? Everybody said kicking. He does kick him. I kept my eyes on him, and I was like, that. How do people know? I was like, how are you so accurate? You went straight for the kick. Why? I don't know. I'm just ranting at this point.
No, these fans, man.
They have gone nuts, and they don't know what to do with themselves now. They have no idea what to do because we all know they don't care about Doctor Strange's movie nearly as much.
I know, right? They're like, oh God, I need an itch. What do we have next? Spider-Verse 2. What
Pretty
are the theories
much.
for those? But that's all right. Like part of it was a lot of fun, and there was still a lot of it that also was, not fun because some of them went too far with it. But it's supposed to be fun.
That's true. So are your real only negatives? You didn't like most of the humor, half the humor. Is that correct to say?
Nah,
You
sure.
only liked,
Yeah.
And then you didn't like a little bit of the kind of hokey plot stuff, and then you thought it was too long.
Yeah. Yeah. And I came away liking it for sure.
You only like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I would say so.
Where do you rank it right now? Initial reaction of your Spider-Man movies. Where are you going to toss it?
I guess I would put it before Homecoming, which was what, my fourth spot?
So you would have
One,
it
two,
behind
three.
Spider-Man
Into the Spider-Verse 2
and
1.
Spider-Man 2 and 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I put it there for now. Yeah.
You're fired. Good night, everybody. You're fired. I'm done with you. I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. I can't handle it. This is absurd. The second the movie ended, I went, this might be better than Into the Spider-Verse for me. And then I sat and I went, no, it's not better than Into Spider-Verse. But right now it's at 2. And I want to see it again. I'll let it marinate. But my initial reaction is it is at 2. I think it's just so much development. I think it's so fun. I think the hokiness works. I think you got to suspend your disbelief. I find it hysterical. I don't think the movie flew by for me. It ended and I was like, what? I want more. What? No, give me more. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to be here listening to you. I wanted to be in the theater. I did sit next to the only grumpy guy that hated everybody cheering. And he probably hated me because I was cheering pretty dang loud.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess you're not fired. You made this good looking pink donut Santa hat sweater, so I can't get rid of you yet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to look into the contracts. I'm going to see if we can get you out of here. Done with it. I can't handle this. Time to bring in some fresh blood who just agree with me on everything. Kyle and I have disagreed on 3 things in life ever. We've known each other for 20 something years, and we've disagreed on 3 things maybe ever. And this is the final straw. You get 3 strikes, you're outie. I'm done with you. No more. 20 years out the door.
Wow, just like that, huh?
Just
Just
like that, sir. Just like that.
I suppose
I'm glad you liked it. I really liked it. I do want to see it again. I want to see if seeing it again will, once the nostalgia settles, you know, and the love and the fun of the fan service settles, will I still feel the same? Maybe not, but I mean, I just loved it. I had so much fun with this movie. And maybe I just needed it. I've had an extremely long week. Today was a very difficult day at the office for me. And maybe I just needed this today. And so maybe that was it. And it just, the stars aligned. Maybe not. We'll find out. I'm going Christmas Eve. I'm going to go Christmas Day. I'm avoiding you when you get into town with your cynicism over here. This guy hated the movie. You hated the movie. Clearly. Which clearly means that you hate puppies. That's what that means.
Guilty.
Okay, nobody watches this far into our videos, so this is just pure banter that nobody will witness.
Oh yeah. They tuned out at this point.
Real fast, and then we can wrap up here.
Sure.
The Doctor Strange trailer. What'd you think? I know you said you dug it a lot. What? Give me a quick little synopsis of your thoughts.
I think I really liked that it had a dark element to it.
Sam Raimi.
So, I hope that Marvel really lets Sam Raimi take the reins on this movie and really goes kind of nutty with it. I think it could lead to some really cool stuff. But yeah, it was just, the shots were just very different. And I think that will be great to have coming up here. And I also like that, what's the actress name? Chiwetel Ejiofor, that he is coming back and he will be utilized in some way.
It also looked like Mads Mikkelsen was coming back. There was a shot that looked like him to me.
Oh, really? Oh, I missed that.
It was the guy flying through he was silhouetted and he was flying through the portal, but he had a ponytail. He didn't have the dreads that Ejiofor had. He had like a ponytail that Mads had in the last movie, so it made me think he was coming back. And bring Dormammu. I've come to bargain.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this evil Doctor Strange plays out. Honestly, I'm fine with that. Like, I don't have any anything negative to say about that element. I think it could lead to something really interesting. So, and it looks like, Rachel McAdams will be back, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Wanda's going to be involved post WandaVision. So there's going to be some stuff packed in there.
Her outfit when she was around the candles and everything. I loved when he walked up in the trailer and he's like, "Hey, Wanda," and she turns around and on her face, just, "Oh, finally, he's here." Like, she's just been dreading this moment where she gets in trouble, and he's like, "No, I do not care. You can play in your little mind all you want. Don't care. We have a bigger problem." I loved it. It was so Doctor Strange.
Fix my problem.
Yeah, there's an evil me running around, and we cannot have that.
Rachel McAdams is back, and she's really cute, and I want to date her again.
Pretty.
Wanda!
So pretty. Wanda, help me.
I mean, hey, Sam Raimi did the same thing in the Spider-Man movies. He could do it again in the Doctor Strange too. Why not?
Although I hope, Rachel McAdams isn't just a straight damsel, which MJ is in all 3 of his movies. But I don't think she will be. I think Sam Raimi has grown a lot as a filmmaker, and he made great Spider-Man movies, even with that trope. I think it's going to be good, especially with what Wanda can do. I'm excited to see that. Yeah, the trailer looked awesome. I don't know, is it out online? I would assume it's out, but...
Oh, I have no idea. I'm planning to go to bed after this, so...
me too. Check. Yeah, no, me too. I'm going to be getting up here in about 5 hours. Well, yes, and do I
That
do
sounds
it to
tough.
myself? Yes, I do.
That's
All right.
awful.
Well, let's wrap it up. We can talk more another day. And by another day, I mean tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you're still here, great. Thank you. Thank you to Movie Meal patrons. Go get some merch. It's all great. Linked in the description. Check us out on Letterbox, all that stuff down below. Yeah. Go see this movie. Don't spoil it if people haven't seen it. Like my brother, I was like, why have you not gone? And he said they were sold out before they got a chance to get a ticket. And they can't go till Saturday. Like that's how far out
Yeah.
they were sold out in Austin, Texas, just those massive cities. So
Wow.
just don't spoil it for people. And yeah, just have fun with it, enjoy it. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.